What's up, my beautiful people? Exile451 here with another daily dose of Reddit Hope and Happy, and today we're going back into r/DecidingToBeBetter to talk about why it's important to feel uncomfortable. So, let's get to it. Our first post is from user Aaron Panzarilla. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's the only way to grow. I've never been one for taking chances or risks. I don't mean going skydiving or something extreme like that, but more in terms of being okay with not feeling good. I've taken a lot of actions to make myself feel safe, but they've actually kept me from reaching my full potential. I've had a false sense of safety because I haven't done anything to shake the old habitual stuff in a real way. Until now. To give an example of what I mean, a situation came up yesterday that really proves I am heading into new territory, and I'll start with this for context. I can't stand the idea of someone being mad at me. I know it roots back into my childhood. My mom was very aggressive, emotionally and mentally, never physically. She was full of rage and anger from her unhealed stuff. I remember even when I was young that she would get mad at me for doing kid stuff. And then as I got older, when I was rebellious, she really got scarily mad because I was defying what she deemed acceptable. She would lose her mind at me. Her energy is extremely harsh, and I've been told by others it feels like daggers being thrown at you, which I totally resonate with. Anytime I went out of line or anytime I was bothering her, I'd know about it on a grand scale. I learned that I was the problem. And then I learned that I was the one who had to fix it. I had to apologize or else my mom wouldn't speak to me for days. I had to be the one to suck it up because I needed my mom more than she needed me. And so the habit was formed. I've been experiencing some parallels between my mom and a coworker. Everything is a mirror, right? So my coworker is very aggressive, but has a sweet spot for me because I'm agreeable and help her, sometimes at the cost of my own inner peace and my own work. It's been really bad while working from home. I needed to do my own work, but she was calling me incessantly over something our boss needed for a meeting in 45 minutes. This was something for Excel. I helped her, and then I realized how stressed she was making me, and the fact my boss told her to do it. My boss called, and when she asked me what I was doing, I mentioned I was assisting my coworker with the spreadsheet, and my boss lost it. I'm done with being the person that does all the work silently. I have a million things to do for my boss, and she knows that, and our relationship has actually gotten better during all of this. My coworker was taking advantage of me and trying to take credit for the work I did. My boss asked why I was doing it because she told my coworker it was her responsibility. I told her that I was told it was a priority and very important that it's finished quickly. My boss then called my coworker, freaking out. Coworker then reached out to me to ask me to send her everything I had done, and she had to finish the rest herself. 30 minutes later, my coworker reached out asking for me to help with something else when I had a chance. I couldn't believe it. I didn't answer the email because I was busy and I didn't have any chances. I have to stick up for me. The next day came and I was getting aggressively written emails from my coworker. So I had an idea. I would call her to make amends, to apologize for not answering, to see if she was okay. And then I stopped myself. Why am I so uncomfortable with the idea that someone could not like me in this moment? Why do I need to fix everything? And then my mom came to mind. Me sitting for hours with the feeling my coworker could get mad at me was really uncomfortable, but I didn't try to fix it because I realized I did nothing wrong. That is a big step in the right direction for me, not bridging myself on top of a puddle so others can cross on top of me. I'm so used to being the one who gives in. Not doing so made me really uncomfortable. But I can be uncomfortable and still not act on every urge just because it's uneasy for me to sit with it. It's okay to feel weird about a situation because you're not doing what you usually do, which in my case was self-sabotaging to make sure someone else was okay with me. What someone else thinks of me in any given moment really isn't my business. I have to stay true to me and follow the path of growth instead of the one that leads me to places I've gone before. Oh boy, can I relate with this. I've talked about my time in radio a little bit, and when I was working there, I had one particular coworker that very much the same. He was great when it came to his job, but it all ended there. When it came to actually communicating with anyone outside of sales, he was terrible. And I mean absolutely downright terrible. He came to me 2 days before I was supposed to get married and was like, I just want to confirm that you're going to be here to help record tomorrow. I'd planned to take the day off, and when I informed him as such, he got upset like I was the bad person until I told him the reason why. And that was, I'm going to be taking care of any last-minute wedding issues because I'm getting married in 2 days. And then he basically begged and pleaded me to be able to come in or find a replacement, and I eventually capitulated. Never apologized, never thanked me for the sacrifice, nothing. And numerous times after that, continued to walk all over me. Continued to treat my time as though it was his to manage, and I just let it happen. And when I finally stood up to him and was like, no, you can't keep doing this, he got all mad and went to higher management, and thankfully my boss stuck up for me and was like, you can't keep doing this. You can't dictate his time and not bother to tell him. And basically what it came down to, the only trouble I got in was my boss telling me, if you're going to write an email like that, tell me, don't let me get blindsided, which I really appreciated. But looking at it now, I think I felt the same way, that I just wanted him to not be upset, that I wanted to be a people pleaser, that I didn't know how to say no. And once I finally started standing up for myself to him, it felt good, that I didn't care what he thought of me, nor did I really care if he knew what I thought of him. Granted, by the time I left that company, he was in deep trouble for some of the shenanigans he was pulling, and I really hope he's finally going to face disciplinary action, but that's a whole different story. Regardless though, overall, your point here is very good actually, not letting your past traumas or mistakes or whatever you've experienced dictate what you do with others, how you interact with people, how you feel about other people, and just allowing yourself to be uncomfortable so that you can grow as a person. I've said this before, but I've got a little sign here in my studio with a quote that says, which would you prefer, the pain of growth or the pain of staying where you are? And it's very accurate. You're gonna feel pain either way. You may as well be growing from it. So OP, thank you so much for sharing the post. I really appreciate you doing so, and wherever you're at right now, I really do wish you the best. Our next post is from user Red Bull Cannon. But first, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing so that you can get more of your daily dose of Reddit Hope and Happy. Today, I fully forgave myself and emotionally moved past the last part of a past toxic relationship. This is my last post from this account. 3 years ago, I ended the most toxic relationship with a beautiful soul who was both tormented by major medical issues and an abusive past that her family let happen. Before this relationship, I was a fun-loving, naive guy about to graduate college to take on the world. I got into a relationship with a girl who was special and thought this would be great, and I could see myself spending the rest of my life with her very early on. Then life happened. My dad had a mental breakdown in front of me and nearly destroyed everything my family worked so hard to build. As this was going on, my ex developed multiple brain bleeds and began an ugly fight to keep living and keep the will to move forward. While that was going on, her family was pushing an arranged marriage guy on her who was the spawn of Satan just for economic power and status of joining two powerful families, Asian culture. The guy did unspeakable things to her. For a year and a half, I battled to keep my family together and help my ex keep the daily will to live while dealing with the emotional pain of what that guy did to her, as her quality of life physically and emotionally decayed in front of me. Through it all, it twisted and emptied my soul and replaced it with hate and sadness. I harbored and let a hate for this guy and her family grow and poison everything in my life. He was the real-life Ramsay Bolton. Things I can never speak of. When the relationship ended, I could relate to Darth Vader's pain, torment, and guilt. It felt like I had been hollowed out. I didn't really eat for months. I didn't listen to any music for nearly 2 months. I tried to mask pain with drinking, smoking, and sex. Life continued to spiral downward. This is when I decided to be better. I used the bedrock of my pain to build my life. It was the hardest journey of recovery I've ever had, and I've battled depression and debilitating panic attacks since I was in the 4th grade. Heck, it was a harder journey than when I had a mental breakdown in college and had to move home. Today, I stand a renewed, stronger man, scarred by life, but no longer broken by it. I found faith. I humbly built myself on my weakness. I am drug and alcohol-free, cigarette-free. I lost over 70 pounds, started a relationship with another beautiful soul who brings out the best in me, and my life is on track again, and I look forward to the troubles that come. For everyone who is down, beaten, and broken, there is hope. You can rebuild and you can love again. This will be my last post from this account. The account made for her in that relationship that taught me a lifetime of harsh and painful lessons. Thank you all for being there for me, teaching and allowing me to help others in the midst of their storms. I will be back, but under a new name. I'm eternally grateful for this community of people trying to become better. Red Bull Cannon, signing off. Well, OP, that sounds like quite the journey there. I mean, holy crap, frick. You know, I kind of can relate, having gone through a really toxic relationship myself where there was another guy that was involved by the end, although it wasn't an arranged marriage situation, and he really took advantage of the particular ex that I'm thinking of, who was her own basket case of issues, admittedly, and it's by far the best thing that that relationship came to an end. However, I get your point, where you're coming from. Being able to forgive yourself and walk away from a relationship like that is so unbelievably difficult. I mean, seriously. I get what you're saying entirely. But when you do forgive yourself, when you do move on, and you do face that pain rather than just numb it out with mindless self-indulgence, it's amazing how fast life can turn. I met the woman I'm now married to and have been happily married to for over 3 years at this point, about a year after everything with my ex fell apart. I never would have pictured it happening that quickly, nor the way in which it did, where I basically knew almost immediately how special she was and how lucky I would be if I could just even be her friend, let alone end up marrying her. But you're right, at the end of the day, there is hope. Whatever we're going through is always going to be temporary. Even everything we're seeing around the world right now, between pandemics and riots and murder hornets and locusts and just nothing but absolute chaos, it will all pass. And one day we'll look back and be like, man, I am so glad that I survived all of that. So thank you so much for just sharing your story, sharing your example, and I really do feel for you. Wherever you're at, I truly wish you the best. Our next post is from any video in the Deciding to Be Better playlist here on your left, or if you want to check out what YouTube thinks would be best for you, go ahead and hit the button on the right. Now, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside if you need to. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.